Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Pick a Card readings. I hope you all are doing well. Just give me a second. I'm going to lower the camera here. There we go. Goodness, that seems so high. Okay, so I hope you guys all are doing well. If you are joining, feel free to say hi, leave a comment. I'm just going to share this out to a few groups really quickly. So today we're doing pick a card readings. We're going to jump into those in a minute. Hello, hello. And share it more. Hello, hello. Hello, Stacy. Okay. So today's pick a card readings, I had asked in one of my groups what was something that most people were struggling with, spiritually speaking. And a lot of people, the most popular question or answer I got, sorry, to the question was connecting to themselves. A lot of people, it seems right now, are feeling really disconnected from spirit and from themselves. So we're going to do pick a card readings on how you guys can better connect to yourselves and to spirit. So for those of you who are feeling really disconnected, hopefully this will be some help. We just went through the 1010 portal, which I'm still fairly new to understanding all these portals, but to my understanding, it is the 1010 portal occurred yesterday, and it was a super helpful portal around connecting with ourselves, which makes sense because in numerology 10 goes back to 1, and when we have 1 and 1, it's about that partnership with ourselves. So one is about the one in numerology has to do with us as individuals. It's the individual, right? Um, and connecting to ourselves as individuals. When you get 2 of that, it's connecting back to ourselves and how to connect with ourselves. So I thought we could do some readings on that. Awesome. So we're going to jump into this. And just give me a second here. So I have a graphic for the pick a cards. How am I going to do this? Okay, so I'm going to turn my cam off for a minute. I'm going to pull the graphic up. What I want you guys to do is pick which graphic you're most drawn to. Graphic 1, graphic 2, or graphic 3. And just comment that in the comments. So I thought we could do some readings. I'm gonna turn my volume down. So just comment 1, 2, or 3. I'll leave that up for a couple minutes. You guys, if you're also drawn to more than one, then that's okay too. Sometimes we have more than one message we need to hear. Also, I'm streaming this in a couple places. So if you guys are watching from Facebook, make sure, if you haven't already, to like my page and follow me. If you are on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That would be awesome. Okay. Perfect. Stacy, you are 3 and 2. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take that off and we're going to jump into the readings. There we go. We will jump into these readings. So, let's see what comes up. How can pile ones connect better with themselves? Ooh. Wow, that's a big card to be coming out. Okay, pile ones. How can pile ones better connect with themselves? Okay. Okay. We're going to jump into this. So, pile ones, if you guys chose pile one, here's what we've got for you. Got the devil card coming up, which I find really, I don't know, maybe because I'm a Scorpio, I find that funny, but we have the Emperor card coming up as well. We have the Six of Wands with the Star card behind it, and then the Four of Swords reversed behind that. And then at the bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Cups reversed. So the first thing I'm seeing that came through really clear when the Devil card popped out, when this card popped out, connecting with yourself means doing shadow work. It means connecting with the dark aspects of ourselves, connecting with, I don't know, when I pull the Devil card, I always end up I connect to this card a lot with facing our demons. The Devil to me represents the demons or the darker aspects of ourselves, our fears, our anxieties, or even parts of ourselves that we consider dark, like our darker natures of ourselves, and facing these, right? We all have a devil side to us. We all do. Um, we all have this darker nature to us. We live in dualities, right? So for pile ones, this is really about you guys can connect to yourselves most through facing that dark side and embracing that dark side. I think a lot of times our dark natures are things that we push to the side and we don't want to embrace, right? But they are part of us as humans. We all have those dark natures. And when we don't embrace that dark side of us, we cut ourselves off from half of ourselves pretty much, right? So that is what I'm getting is for pile ones, you guys really need to step up. You need to face and embrace the devil side of you, so to speak. To more connect with yourself, you have to embrace the darker aspects of yourself. We have the Emperor card coming up as well, and this won't be easy, okay? But the Emperor, the card, the wording that came through with this card was determination, strength, willpower, right? The Emperor is the King of Kings pretty much. in the tarot deck, and he is all about taking action towards things. This could have been something you guys have been putting off for a while. And hello, Kaylee. Oh, awesome. So we're doing pick a card readings. We're going through them for how people can connect better to themselves. So, as I was saying, sorry. I'm kidding. So we have a lot of you might not have been wanting to face this, right? Our dark sides are things we tend to shove in the closet. And I feel like for pile ones, like you guys kind of maybe ignored this side or you didn't want to take action. Like it's there, it exists, but you don't really want to acknowledge it. You don't want to act on it. You don't want to face it, right? And the fact that the Emperor, when I pulled the cards, is literally facing the Devil card, it's saying it's time to start facing the dark side of yourself. Start connecting to that side of yourself. It's time to face this. It's not a part of yourself that you can ignore anymore, right? Because that's what's causing the division is you're not, if you are pile ones, the reason you're feeling so disconnected from yourself or even from spirit is because you aren't embracing your whole self. Even spirit, if it's the case of spirit, you aren't embracing the whole energy of spirit, right? Spirit is dualist, well, has positive and negative aspects to it too, right? All the deities, all the gods, for as good as they can be, they can also be, they also have negative sides. Like for instance, Jupiter is is the god of that everybody views as like the Santa Claus kind of deity, right? He just gives and he gives and he gives and he gives and he gives. But what comes from that? It's abundance, right? And abundance is good, but what is the shadow side of abundance? So sometimes that can lead to greed, wanting more and more and more and more and more and more, right? So on the shadow aspect, he can be this greedy god, and on the good aspect, he can be this generous kind of giving deity, right? Spirit has both sides. So, even with negative, there's negative and positive to every entity, there's negative and positive to ourselves. So, if you're struggling to connect with yourself, it's embracing that dark aspect of yourself and facing it. If you're struggling to connect with deity, it's maybe needing to connect more with darker deities or ones that people deem as dark so that you can get an understanding of the darker connection to things and the other aspect of things. We also have for pile ones coming up, we have the Six of Wands with the Star card and behind it, and the Four of Swords and behind that. So this is definitely, I hear enlightenment with this. This is definitely something you guys have to be, if you want to balance your energy. So the Six of Wands, I always view wands as energy. I don't know why. I view fire as our primal energy. It's a thing that keeps us going, right? And fire requires a lot of energy to keep it going. It requires, you know, um, so in order to keep going, but sixes, sorry. So fire, wands of fire, which is energy. Sixes are balance, right? The good and the bad. It's like that yin yang kind of energy. So in order to completely balance out your energy and feel back connected to every aspect of yourself or every aspect of spirit, you literally have to embrace every aspect of spirit, every aspect of yourself, right? Um, and that'll lead to a bigger understanding of things. This will lead to enlightenment. I know that sounds really weird, but it'll bring you out of this box of thinking. So what this will do is it will not only balance your energies out and help you have a better, more balanced connection with yourself or with spirit, it will also bring you out of this boxed thinking. So the Four of Swords reversed is thinking outside of the box, right? When I look at fours, I always see squares. I always see like the earth element. It's this very like boxed in, energy. And when it comes to swords, that's your thinking, that's your mentality, right? When we reverse it, we got to get outside that box. And that's what this energy is bringing in, is that outside of the box thinking. And the star card is enlightenment for me. I, I feel like this connection with Aquarius. So the star card is connected to Aquarius, which a lot of people see as this healing, rejuvenating energy. That's not the energy coming through with this card right now. The energy that's coming through is this enlightenment, this bigger understanding. So Aquarius is also connected to that very outside of the box thinking, that very unique way of thinking, but they're also very enlightened. They see things that most people don't because they're able to see things from a very different perspective. And being able to see things from that perspective is able to allow you to see kind of both sides of things and all sides of things, right? And it's not to just that boxed in way of thinking. So for pile ones, what you guys really need to do to connect yourselves to yourself or to spirit is connect with the darker aspects. You need to start facing these, stop avoiding them. When you can embrace this darker nature of yourself or of deity, this will help you to form a more balanced connection with yourself and with spirit. It'll help to enlighten you, to help you get a bigger understanding of things so you can see things on a broader scope, and it brings you out of this boxed in thinking. We also have the Three of Cups on the bottom. So, yeah, it's like you guys aren't seeing all aspects. So when I say the Three of Cups, when I'm talking about connection to things, it's that mind, body, soul connection, but it's also like in the terms of deities and spirit, it's seeing all the different aspects of spirit, right? So I don't like using the word a trinity of spirits, but I think that's like my Christian upbringing, but that's really what it is, right? Seeing all the different, the mother, maiden, crone, the three stages of the god, which is the, oh my god, the youth, the father, and the sage, right? Seeing all those different phases and those different aspects of deity, of spirit, right? We aren't seeing all those right now. And that's for pile ones, you guys aren't seeing all of it. Like you don't see all the sides. And until you can see all the sides, until you can connect, it's not even seeing because this is emotional connection, right? Until you can connect with all sides of yourself and all sides of spirit, you're going to continue to feel that disconnect. So if you're a pile one, you really want to do some shadow work, connect with your shadow, um, connect with parts of yourself that you may feel are darker in nature. If this is to connect with yourself, if this is to connect with deity, like I said, maybe connecting with darker deities or darker entities. Things like, I hate to say it, but beings like Lucifer or goddesses of death and war like Saradwin or Hecate, or who are considered darker, or the Morgan, ones that are considered darker deities, will help you to gain the understanding that they have to offer, because they can offer you understanding of from that perspective of things. But it's time to face the dark and connect with the dark. Okay. So we're gonna get into pile twos. Let's do pile twos. What do pile twos need to know to connect with spirit? How can pile twos connect with spirit and themselves better? How can pile twos connect with themselves and spirit better? Ooh. Okay. see what's on the bottom of the deck. We have the Knight of Swords. Okay, so for pile 2s, what's coming up is the Four of Cups. We also have the Eight of Swords with the Seven of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune in behind that. And then we have a crap ton of cards. So I'm really going to summarize these cards when I go through them because there's a ton of them. We have the Six of Cups with the Page of Cups and behind that, with the Ace of Cups and behind that, the Fool reversed, the Six of Pentacles reversed, the Nine of Cups reversed, and the Queen of Swords reversed. And then on the bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Swords upright. So if you were drawn to pile 2, what you need to do to reconnect with yourself or with the spirit is to really go in. I feel like all of these are going to involve inner work, obviously, because to connect to yourself in spirit really means going within yourself. For pile 2s, I feel like meditation is going to be a great tool for you guys, or even connected, particularly if you can meditate out in nature or connect to nature. So I know we're getting into crappy weather, at least here. It rains a lot lately, or has been raining, so getting outside isn't always possible. But you can also throw on like some naturey music, some nature sounds, and just sit and meditate with that. So we have the Four of Cups coming up, which is definitely, this is my meditation card. This is a time to go within and, you know, really kind of connect to your own emotions. And it's interesting because there's cups and swords that are coming up a lot in this. Like the 4 main cards that come up are cups and swords. So I feel like a lot of your disconnect when it comes to spirit and when it comes to yourself is is an emotional disconnect, but it's also a mental disconnect. And so taking time, they're also telling me to, I'm being so shown a circle. So another thing that you might want to try doing if you are a 4 and you're feeling really kind of disconnected with yourself or even spirit, and I know this is going to might sound really odd and weird, but they're showing me a circle and I can see you guys like sitting in that circle. So you can draw when you cast a circle, what you want to do is pull different, if you're feeling really disconnected from spirit, you want to pull spirit into the circle, right? And just kind of sit with that energy. You can visualize the circle filling up with a white light or however you kind of see spirit. If it's with yourself, I know this is going to sound weird, but visualize another version of yourself sitting in front of you. Pull yourself into the circle, your higher self, okay? Because what happens a lot of times when we feel disconnected from ourselves is it is our higher self. Now, most times it's because our chakra, our upper chakras are blocked and we can't kind of connect to our higher versions of ourselves or even our lower versions of ourselves in some cases, and we disconnect ourselves. There is some version of yourself, whether it be higher or lower. I'm getting for pile 2s that it's more higher self. So with pile 1s, it was like the lower self, right? Pile 2s, I feel like you're more the connection with your higher self. This is kind of disconnected. So pull your higher self into the circle and just sit with that energy. You can form chords to it, connect with it in whichever way, whether it's just sitting with the energy and feeling it or seeing it or however you visualize that. That's what you want to do, okay? Because I'm feeling like the disconnect for you guys, like I said, is emotionally and mentally. So visualization is a good tool to use to connect to things mentally, and feeling is really just using your emotions and tapping into your emotions. Um, I'm seeing a big issue too is your thoughts. Particularly this thought of connecting to something that's going to harm you. um, so for pile twos, I feel like for some of you guys, what is occurring is you've disconnected yourself from yourself because you've been hurt. You've had to defend yourself. So your way of defending yourself is closing off your heart. Okay, and what has happened is you've closed off yourself to part of yourself. So you've inadvertently, when you close that chakra and you're like, I'm gonna protect, I'm gonna protect this, you inadvertently um cut yourself off from that aspect of yourself or from that energy, right? Which makes you feel really disconnected. Because I'm seeing So with the Eight of Swords, I'm seeing like this binding occurring, right? This mental disconnect, right? But I feel like this mental disconnect stems from needing to protect yourself. So you have just kind of mentally cut yourself off. And the reason for this could be for so many different reasons, right? It could be that you're tired of fighting with people, you're tired of arguing with people, you're tired of debating things with people, you're tired of things in general. I feel like a lot of this is heart chakra energy too. Where you're just tired and you make that decision, you make that choice you're tired of fighting. So the Seven of Wands is this defensive card, right? So you're tired of fighting. So instead of fighting, you just shut down and you cut it off. And inadvertently, like I said, you closed off your connection to any energy to yourself. Um, and that's what's kind of causing it. It's also that connection to spirit too. So if this is the connection to spirit that you have, you've inadvertently cut yourself off to connection to source because you're like, I don't, I don't want to do it. And it's this, I don't even really feel like the threats were there, but I feel like it was a perception of threats. Okay. For some of you, if this was source, it could be you cut yourself off because people were telling you, well, be careful about connecting to this because there's dangers and there's threats. Right. I feel like for some of you, a lot of you might have done like astral traveling or astral projecting, where you're like actually leaving your bodies and going to other realms. And a lot of people were like, don't do that, or they were cautioning you against it because of dangers and particular threats. Um, and as a result, you kind of were just like, you cut yourself off from it because you built up this perception that there's a danger and there's a threat, which there is. But instead of taking the proper precautions to protect yourself, you just kind of stop doing it and you cut yourself off from that energy altogether. Does that make sense? And I feel like that's what's stagnating a lot of the energy because you just disconnected from it for whatever reason. There has been this like you've bound yourself. Yeah, you've bound yourself off from this energy. So reconnecting with it means unbinding yourself, right? You have to reform those cords and reform those connections to things. I feel like when you can do that, you're going to feel a lot more emotionally content as well. So I feel like for a lot of you, when you cut yourself off from yourself, when you cut yourself off from spirit, it's left you feeling really, really alone, and really isolated, really really, really isolated. And when you can reconnect with that, when you can reconnect with spirit, when you can reconnect with yourself, it's going to bring more peace to you on an emotional level. It's going to impact you majorly emotionally, right? Um, because we have the Six of Cups coming up. So the Six of Cups has to do with peace and harmony, emotional peace, emotional harmony, emotional balance, um, all that stuff. So I feel like once you guys connect to that, you're gonna see like this your emotional energy. You're not gonna feel so alone as well. I feel like you'll draw people in that connect to you more on an emotional, spiritual kind of level. Um, you're gonna feel your connection to spirit get stronger. Your heart chakra might get stronger. Your ability to open up in general to yourself and other people and spirit will get stronger with this. But you guys definitely, I see a lot of there's a lot of cups energy in here and a lot of swords energy. So I do feel like a lot of this is heart chakra energy for you guys. Like it I feel like it started in the mind with the thought of how am I going to word this? Okay, it didn't start in the mind, it started in the emotions and then it went to the mind. So what happens is you get feeling kind of bored, or you get feeling, for you guys, I think it was just tired and, you know, things kind of, you just wanted a sense of security and a sense of things got unstable really fast, and you guys were like always feeling, I don't even know how to describe it really at the moment. Um, but it started, I'm seeing it started emotionally. And what happened was you started feeling something emotionally, right? You started having all these emotions come up, and then it triggered, it's like this wish of, I wish these would go away, right? Is what I'm seeing. I wish this would go away. 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 Um, And as you repeated those affirmations, as you kept sitting with that feeling, as you kept thinking about it, and it's like you mentally binded yourself and you cut yourself off from this energy. And I don't feel like you did it purposely for pile twos. I think you guys did it as a protective measure. It was like, this is negative, this is toxic, I don't want it. Some of you, like I said, might have done it because you were scared, especially when it comes to connecting with spirits. Everybody's like, oh, there's so many malevolent spirits out there, spirits that can harm you, which is true. And I'm not going to deny this, you know, spirits can't harm you. I'm not going to fill this with bullshit, because they can. But at the same time, it's like you guys almost retreated. You almost let that thought of and that energy of potentially being harmed cut you off from even connecting to that energy at all. So what you guys need to do is reconnect with that energy. If you guys are feeling really cut off from yourselves because like I said, you have to go through the mental process and undo the mental bindings. So what I'm seeing is visualization through meditation. And similar to when I said, you know, pull yourself in the case of your higher self, it's like you're bound off from your higher self. So maybe visualizing, they're showing me like a mummy. So visualizing that unwrapping, right? It's almost like you constricted things off. So visualizing like your higher self in front of you, and then all the binds that have been cut off reforming. Like I said, I was seeing cords reforming, so you can do it that way. Or another visualization is like the mummy visualization, where your higher self is kind of bound off from you. And as you unravel that, you know, as you take that, those layers of of bandages, I guess you could say, in the case of the mummy, off, you reconnect yourself, you unbind yourself from yourself. Does that make sense? If this is spirit, what you need to do is learn some proper protection. So working on things like psychic shields and things that you can use in your connection with spirit so that you feel safer, so that you feel more secure when you're connecting with spirits. And learn how to summon spirits properly. Okay. I feel like some of you are pulling spirits to you, like you're just kind of like a magnet for things. So learning how to connect with spirit properly, learning how to summon spirits and how to, I feel like some of you may even be mediums, because these could be earthbound spirits too that are coming to you. That just came to me. So some of you, you may be connecting with higher spirits and higher realms in other realms in the higher realms. So some of you might just be mediums who have the ability to communicate with earthbound spirits here that have crossed over, or spirits that are stuck in this realm, because part of your mission is to help them cross over and find freedom. But whatever the case may be, you have to learn how to properly identify who you're talking to, how to protect yourself so that this fear isn't there, right? This fear is healthy, but what's happening is you're allowing it to control you and it's cutting you off from spirit. So I feel like for you guys, it is about arming yourself with knowledge. Either way, this is like arming yourself with knowledge. So for ones who are cut off from spirit, you need to arm yourself with knowledge. You need to take on this Knight of Swords energy. If this is you guys who are cut off from yourselves or feeling really cut off from yourselves, pile twos, what you need to do is you need to cut through the bullshit and the binds, the mental binding that you've put on yourself. Okay, so take this sword that the knight has and cut the mental bindings, right? Cut them, free yourself from them. Like I said, I've given you a couple different ways that you can do that. Um, if you are the spirit, you definitely want to practice like psychic shields and circle casting and things that can act as protections for you when you're traveling in between realms or even when you're summoning spirits in. So for some of you, if you're traveling between realms or you're somebody that can connect to higher entities and higher beings, right? Learning white light visualization where you surround yourself in a literal ball of white light, that's the psychic shield and that works really well. If you are summoning things in, learn how to use magic circles. Okay, learn how to cast them properly, learn how to call the guardians or your ancestors or whoever, angels, whoever you work with for protection. Learn how to call the entities that you work with for protection in properly, and learn how to identify who you're connecting to. Because a lot of times what happens, especially for people who connect to earthbound spirits, is anybody and everybody. It's so easy for spirits to manipulate things that sometimes they can come to us and present as something they're not, right? So we have to learn how to identify these spirits. We have to learn how to know who we're interacting with and make sure that who we are wanting to interact with is who we are interacting with. And that's why I said a circle too, because a circle acts as an energetic barrier. So only people and beings that you invite in can get in. Right? So there is that level of protection there, and you learn how to summon things in properly. That's what happens with a lot of Ouija boards when people use them, is they open them but they don't open them properly, and then what happens is you get all these spirits coming through that nobody has any control of because they don't open and they don't close the portal. some people don't even close the portal. They leave the board open and then they wonder why everything comes through, right? There's so many different things that can, and in essence, when you're opening a portal to anywhere, whether by using a Ouija board, there's several ways to open portals, right? Unless we know how to do it properly, that can get very messy. So for pile twos, in order to reconnect with yourselves in spirit, you got to do it through meditation and visualization. Is the big thing for you guys. Visualizing any binds that are disconnecting you from yourself, being unbound, or visualizing yourself connecting to, or learning, visualizing yourself surrounded by white light or in a circle and learning how to connect with spirit safely. So one is visualizing reforming connections. The other one is visualizing releasing binds. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, and then we're going to do pile threes next. Sorry, these are so long, guys. I go way in depth with these things. Okay, so pile number 3. How can pile number 3 best connect with themselves and spirits? How can pile number 3s best connect with? Interesting. And what is on the bottom? Okay. So, sorry guys, my foot's going to sleep here. So for pile 3s, what we have the Queen of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Pentacles, and there's a lot of cards that came up with this one too. Knight of Pentacles, followed by the Three of Cups, and behind it reversed, with the Knight of Cups, and behind it reversed, with the Justice card, and behind it reversed, with the Empress, with the Eight of Wands reversed, and the Two of Wands. And then we have the Four of Swords reversed, and we have the Judgment card on the bottom. So the Queen of Pentacles, when I came through, it was you need to get out. The first part is realizing that we're multidimensional and getting out of the physical realm. So for those of you, but I feel like this goes a couple different ways. Okay, so for those of you who are struggling to connect with yourself, you need to get out of your physical body. I think for a lot of you, it is this concept and this mental construct of seeing yourself as just a physical person, right? You have to see yourself as more than just a physical person. And that means getting out of, you have to unearth yourself, unground yourself. And I know that's going to sound really weird, but I feel like the problem for you guys, for pile 3s, if you chose pile 3, I feel like the problem and why you're feeling so disconnected is because you're too grounded. You're too anchored in this reality, in this 3D world. So what happens is you have this balance of being grounded and being anchored and being aware of the physical worlds around you, and being ungrounded, which means like being up in the air. Earth and air, right? The balance between earth and air, being grounded and being able to unground yourself and see things from different perspectives and higher perspectives. In this case, I feel like you guys have too much energy, too much weight on the grounded, and it's keeping you literally anchored to the earth. And that's why you're disconnected again from your higher selves, because you're too anchored in this. So one thing you can do is visualize yourself, right? And I use visualization a lot because I feel like the mind is a very powerful thing. You can visualize yourself or feel yourself, because not everybody can visualize. Hello, Jess. Not everyone can visualize, so you want to feel or see yourself unanchoring from the earth. So when I'm grounded, or when most people are grounded, they, one way that can be visualized as like roots or an anchor into the earth. Okay, so in order to unground yourself, you need to remove that anchor. You need to remove those roots. So you want to visualize or feel yourself unanchoring from the earth. Pull up that anchor, pull up those roots, right? And then what you want to do is visualize or feel yourself kind of floating. Okay, you want to allow yourself to get airy, because that's the problem. You're disconnected from yourself because you're only connected to your physical body at this moment. So you have to unconnect with your physical body a little bit anyways in order to be able to connect with your spiritual body. Um For those of you who are disconnected from spirit, I feel like this is going the opposite way. You guys, you guys need to start viewing spirit like humans. So a lot of people we have, I feel like for pile three is that a lot of your challenge, if you're struggling with connecting to spirit, is because you don't see spirit as, you see them as an abstract kind of thing. And that's what's preventing you from connecting to spirit, is it's not a tangible, right? A lot of times we live in the physical realm. It's so much easier for us to relate to things we can see, touch, feel, hear, right? Things that are physical. So if you bring spirit into the physical, right? Whether that be through meditation, whether that be through printing off, like buying a statue of a deity that you want to work with, or a statue of some sort of spirit that helps you physicalize this energy, right? That's going to help you connect to that more, because then that energy isn't so abstract, it's more physical. You have to bring it into physical form. I also feel like for some of you, there's travel involved. So going back, for some of you going back, if you're struggling to connect with yourself, physically going back to places that you hold memories to where you felt the most yourself. Because I'm seeing the Knight of Pentacles come up, and that's like, I keep hearing travel, physical travel, it's movement. With all of these cards coming up behind it, a lot of them are past cards, right? A lot of them are things from the past, or inward. So here's the thing. Places hold energy. So if you're struggling to connect with yourself, for pile threes, one thing that may help you is going back to some place physical where you felt most yourself. Now, if you can't actually physically move there, looking at pictures, if you can Google map it. I know that sounds weird, but trust me, it works. Google map it, right? Pull up an actual street map and just kind of surf the area and pull up those memories, those emotions where you felt the most yourself, right? Now, for some of you, I don't feel like this could be a place. This could be an object as well. If you have something that was given to you, where you, at a time when you felt whole and complete and yourself, take that object and hold on to it, right? Physically hold that object in your hand if you can, and just kind of connect to that memory and that feeling of being whole. Does that make sense? I feel like for you guys, if you're feeling disconnected, you just need to reconnect with that energy. Right? Take yourself out of the body and reconnect with the energy of when you were whole, times when you felt whole. Whether that be like actually physically going to places where you felt the most yourself, right? Or, going online and pulling up pictures from these places to help you trigger that memory and that emotion, or whether it's holding something physical in your hands from a time that you most felt yourself and you most felt complete and whole, and using that to trigger those memories and those emotions. But whatever that case may be, there's just, like I said, there's at least 3 different ways you can do that right now that I've given examples of. There are other ways as well, but I could be forever talking about that. For spirit, um, there are several other ways as well. So this is physical too. So for spirit to tap into spirit, like I said, you can pull in physical objects. So, like Christians do with the crucifixes, right? For people who worship Jesus, or I'm not even going to say Christians because there are like witches and stuff out there who utilize the energy of Jesus as well. Just sit with a crucifix of Jesus or a statue of Jesus and pull in that energy of the deity that you are physically hold it. You have to physically hold it. Okay, you have to be able to touch it, or put yourself there physically in some way, shape, or form. With spirit, you can't really put yourself um, that way, right? So that's why I'm saying like a physical representation that you can look at. You could even print off a picture of this deity or of what spirit represents. So even if a dove is something that represents spirit to you and you feel all sorts of spiritual energy come off of a dove, you could print a picture of a dove off and just kind of sit with it, right? Allow it to trigger that energy and just kind of pull that energy in. If there are places also, if you can travel, or this might be something to put on a to-do list for future references as well. There are places in the world that are like spiritual energy centers. If you could travel even to there and just kind of meditate there. Sedona, if you're in the States, Sedona is a very good place to go for that. Um, Stonehenge in the UK, all these power energy centers in the earth. If you can physically travel there, or even in local areas you're in, if there's a physical place that holds a lot of spiritual energy for you, where you feel most connected to spirit, go there, right? It doesn't even have to be a spiritual and like a spiritual energy center, but if you're feeling really, really disconnected, that can help. But also like just a local area. Like I know for me, being out under willow trees always kind of helps me to connect to spirit. Being near water helps me connect to spirit. So I can go anywhere where there's water or where there's willow trees and reconnect to that spiritual energy. I can pull that energy in, right? So for you, it might be, one of your favorite spots to go hiking, or it may be, there's all different things for everybody. That's going to be different, but going to some place where you feel holds a lot of spiritual energy. It could even be like a mosque. I know that sounds weird. Or that kind of thing. Go there and connect with spirit. But you gotta, this card is all about physicality. So you have to like, it's physically got to be there. And all the cards behind it are saying like kind of pull this energy in. It's really important to absorb the energy and pull the energy into your physical body, because that's what's going to reconnect you. Okay. Um, we also have the Four of Swords reversed. So, again, really going into these deep, deep mental states with things. Um, you really need to pull this energy in. Um, But this is also with the Four of Swords, it's going to help you get unstuck, from release you from that kind of stuck state that you're in. I feel like a lot of you, you don't necessarily feel cut off, but you feel stuck when it comes to connecting. Like you don't really know how to connect or what to connect to. It's like the ideas of how to connect aren't there. And this is going to help to get you out of that state of mind where you can better connect. It's going to help to, it's about remembering things, about going back and remembering who you were to reconnect to yourself. It's about remembering what originally drew you to spirit, what spirit originally felt like to you, to reconnect with spirit. It's about, okay, so remembering who you are and the energy of remembering that whole feeling, right? Remembering what that energy felt like to be whole and to be completely you, and pulling that energy in. Remembering what that energy of spirit felt like and being able to connect to that and pulling that energy in. That's what this is all about for you guys. It's about remembering, because you're going to reconnect through remembering. But in order to remember, you have to have something physical. Like your memories are very much linked. I feel like for most of you, a lot of you, your memories are linked to physical. A lot of you may be people who draw energy from physical things. So, there are people, I, I'm trying to think of the word that is called. Um, so there's a psychic ability where you can touch things and objects and read energy off of it. Okay. And I feel like that is one of your guys' abilities. You have to, in order to be able to connect with energy, you guys have to have something physical and tangible to connect to. And that's why, because the physicality of it sparks the memories, which then sparks the emotions, which then sparks the connection. Does that make sense? Um, Judgment is on the bottom. So for pile threes, I feel like this is definitely work that you guys have been called and feeling called to do for quite a while, but maybe not necessarily doing it. This is your calling. And this is also, this is a card of ascension for me as well. Taking things to the next level, right? So the judgment card is always connected to when we die, we have that moment of judgment where our whole lives are replayed before us and we see the consequences of all our actions and we come to a new understanding of things. We are looking at things from a spiritual perspective, from a spiritual body, from a spiritual consciousness, because we're no longer anchored to our physical bodies after we die, right? So there's this whole different perspective on things. And it's that ascension process of where we review the lessons we've learned and what we've learned in our lifetime. And I feel like this is a big learning opportunity for you guys as well for pile three. It's like there is a big, big learning opportunity in this to, I feel like, develop spiritual gifts for you guys. Like I said, psychometry, that's sorry, it just popped in my head. So psychometry is when you can, I'm pretty sure it's psychometry. I'm gonna have to go look that up. But I'm pretty sure psychometry is when you like touch physical objects and you can read the energy off of physical objects. I feel like that is like you guys transfer energy through physically touching or physically being in places, right? So again, it's that touch. Even if you're in a place, a physical place, right? You're in contact, you're touching that energy. You guys needed to be in contact with that energy. So another thing is if you're in a physical place, touching the ground, being in contact with the earth and touching the earth is also going to be something that helps, I feel like. But for most of you, it's like you just need something to get in touch with. But yes, for some weird reason, now this might not even be, the psychometry part might not even be linked to this at all, but that's just something that's coming through that a lot of you, I feel like with this judgment card, like I said, it's to help you learn. a lesson, and I feel like I keep seeing spiritual stuff. So could be, like I said, spiritual gifts that you never knew you had. You could be an empath, you could be you could be able to do psychometry where you touch things and read things. Um, you could be an empath when you take in a lot of just the energies around you. You could just be sensitive to things and be able to read energy that way as well. There's different ways, but I feel like the psychometry was coming through really, really clear. Um, so that might be something some of you might want to look into if that resonates with you. If not, just leave it. But for you guys, if you're struggling to connect with spirit and you want to get out into nature, you want to go, you either want to sit with a physical representation of spirit that you're trying to connect to, so something that you feel connects to spirit, you want to sit with that to be able to absorb that energy. Like I said, this is another thing that might help you connect to spirits, particularly deities, is putting them in a human form and viewing them from the perspective of them being human, even though they're not, mentally personifying them like that. It's what the ancients had to do. That's how we got statues of all these deities, right? They personified them. Why did they personify them? So that we can relate to them better. When we relate to them, we connect to them, right? So for you guys, it's about, if you're struggling with the connection to spirit, sit with statues, sit with pictures, go sit in places where you feel highly connected to spirit, and draw this energy in, sit with this energy, pull this energy in, seeing spirit, talking to spirit, even communicating with them like they are people, and working on developing this mentality of they're not outside of me, they are a part of you. They're just like you. We are created in the image of spirit. Okay? So humify, making them more human or giving them more human qualities, something that's going to help you. Sitting with statues, like I said, all this stuff, sitting with physical representations of them, or a physical representation that you feel holds spirit or represents spirit, or going somewhere physical. There's several different things. If you are struggling with connecting with yourself, go back to a place where you felt most yourself. Go back to, you can travel back to like your neighborhood that you grew up in, or a point in time, a neighborhood where you most felt like yourself, and just connect to those memories, connect to that energy. You can also, like I said, Google map it, take a virtual trip through it. It's still going to spark the memories and the emotions, and pull those in. Or if you have a physical object from a time of that time, and you just hold it and pull that energy in. Okay? Because a lot of you guys, you need to connect to the memories. It's all mindset and pulling that energy back into you. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. Yes, Kaylee, cut the string to the balloon, exactly. Um, Actually, Kaylee, I like that analogy, cutting the string to the balloon, because then you don't feel tied. It's not grounded. That is a good analogy for ungrounding yourself. I like that. I'm gonna have to remember that one. Jess, you stopped that a bit ago. Aw. Yes, yes. Reconnecting to yourself it's really, really hard. We're all being called to really kind of pull ourselves back to ourselves. So there's a lot of different energies from all these different readings. Um, some of you, it was facing your demons and doing shadow work. Some of you, it's actually like unbinding yourself from things and working through fears around spirits and other ones of you. It's about actually remembering points when you were whole and reconnecting to that energy. So it's always fun. Okay, so I have been on for an hour blabbering. So I'm going to jump off. If you guys are watching this from my Facebook page and you haven't already, please like and follow the page so when I go live every week, you can join me for these. I also do paid readings twice a week as well. If you are on my Facebook page, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You guys are awesome, and that way you can see all my live videos I do and all the videos I post with tons of information, all my astrology videos about the full moons, the new moons, any of the Sabbats, any of the big astrological occurrences going on will all be posted on my YouTube. So make sure, and I mean, they're like hour-long videos, so they're chocked full of information specific to that day. So, yeah. If anybody wants any private readings, you can check out my Etsy shop. I will post that in the description. I do private email readings in there, so if you're interested in that, check it out. There is also lots of information available on my Etsy. I have Book of Shadow pages that you can print off and add to your Book of Shadows that are chocked full of information on things. What else do I have? There's mentoring sessions now available. I'm all excited about that. So if you guys want mentoring, there's mentoring sessions available in there. There's astrology readings, tarot readings, tarot journals, although I think I only have one of those done, so I should do some more. But yeah, tons and tons of stuff in there. So on that note, I'm going to jump off, and I hope you guys all have an awesome week. I'll see you guys all in the next video, the next live. Bye, guys.